At-large council candidate Dave McCarthy is unable to attend this evening. His stand-in, Mr. Mark Forrester, will make a statement for Mr. McCarthy. Mr. Forrester.
Thank you, Joe. Good evening. My name is Mark Forrester. I'm here tonight to convey a message from candidate David McCarthy, who is running for Councillor at Large in Quincy. Dave apologizes for his rare absence this evening. Business has called him to be in Washington, D.C. this evening. Thank you to the Adams National Historic Association for having all the candidates here this evening, and good luck to all. With an election in Quincy, it's great that the local neighborhood groups can have a forum to meet and get to know their candidates. Dave McCarthy, as many of you currently know, serves on the Quincy School Committee and has for the last 12 years, is a past Park and Recreation Board member, sits currently on the South Shore Mental Health Board of Directors, and is a member of the Board of Trustees for the Carroll Center for the Blind. Dave has chaired almost every subcommittee on the school committee and has been predominantly involved in the building facilities, security, budget, and special education committees that oversee those areas. Dave has suggested and pushed for health innovationists at the high school level to help combat any and all drug issues, and is focused now on the city as a whole and his desire for election to Councillor at Large. The downtown is at the forefront with David, and of course the surrounding area. The historical aspect of Quincy Center and surrounding areas must be addressed with keeping in mind that this is Quincy, the birthplace of 2 presidents as well as many national figures. We live in a community of historical values that need attention, as well as the surrounding neighborhoods of Quincy Center. Dave is focused on all issues in regards to the entire city and is ready to serve. He has experience of local government issues and is proactive and is a no-nonsense individual. Dave is married to Roseanne, his wife of 30 years, and has brought up all 8 of his children through the Quincy public school system. He resides at 48 Whitney Road, is employed by General Dynamics as their Director of Security for over 32 years. David asks humbly for your vote, one of your 3 votes on November 3rd, and thank you for allowing David to express his thoughts this evening. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Forrester. We'll move on to the opening statements for our at-large council candidates, and we'll begin with the incumbents, and the first is incumbent City Council President, at-large Councillor Joe Finn.
I'm relieved at the extra space. I'd like to thank the Adams National Historic Neighborhood Association for this opportunity this evening. My name is Joe Finn, and I'm on the Quincy City Council as Councillor at Large now for almost 14 years. I'd like to think I bring a wealth now of practical experience and knowledge to the job, but I think the greatest strength that I bring, quite honestly, is my willingness to admit what I do not know. I see that as a great strength. It was this strength that allowed me with the Downtown Development Plan to insist, for one of the few times in the history of the City of Quincy, for independent counsel for the City Council to review a land disposition agreement of many, many pages of contract language. When the time came to part from street works, I think we were all glad that we'd been through that particular process. It's this strength that compelled me to fight hard to preserve the position of city auditor, even against some of my colleagues. The analysis of well over close to $260 million in expenditures and budget recommendations require a certain level of expertise and skill that, quite honestly, are not found with 9 councilors all working full-time jobs. When she discovered one year close to $1 million mistake in the pension line item, which again saved every taxpayer money, then everyone thought it was a good idea to have an auditor. It was this strength, as the president of the council, I brought in outside help, pro bono, to introduce information management system to the city council office. And this will ultimately grant councilors more information to better do their job, and all the citizens of Quincy more access to their government. And finally, it's that strength that allows me to ask questions. The late Paul Harold used to say that he felt it was his job to ask the questions you would want to ask. I have, and I will continue to take that obligation very seriously.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I asked for one of your 3 votes. Thank you.
Councillor McFarland.
Good evening. I'd like to
Hold that right up close, like. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Mike McFarland, and I'd like to thank the Adams National Historic Neighborhood Association for this invitation to come and speak before you tonight. I've been here several times before, and I don't think we've ever had this large of a crowd, so thank you very much for attending this evening. I've been a member of the Quincy City Council now for the last 10 years, and prior to that I served on the school committee. What I try to bring, is that better? What I try to bring to the city council in my job now is I try to bring value to the taxpayers, value to the homeowners. Every vote that we take on budget, we have to make sure that we're spending the tax dollars wisely. When I was out there campaigning with people, one of the biggest questions they asked was, my taxes can't go up anymore. And when you say to them, would you like me to cut something? Well, no. No one wants their school cut. No one wants the hours at the library cut. No one wants police and fire cut. So it's up to us as a city council to make sure that the votes that we take and the budgets that we pass bring you value for your money. You know, one of the few times some residents have to interact with their government is they put their trash out and it's taken away. They call 911 and police and fire comes. Day to day, the average citizen does not have a lot of interaction with the government, unless, of course, you have your children in the school system. And Quincy has one of the finest school systems of any large city in Massachusetts. I will put it up against any of them. And on top of that, we also have about 37 to 38 languages that are spoken in the schools. And we have, over the last several years, developed the ability to have people come in to work with these kids so they understand both English and that. So I will continue, if elected, with your help, I will continue to try to bring value to the taxpayers of Quincy, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Council candidate Noel Dibona, and I'd ask that you share the microphones there, yes. 2-minute opening statements, Noel.
Thank you. I want to thank the Adams National Historic Neighborhood Association for hosting this great event here tonight. My name is Noel Dibona, and I am raising a family here in Quincy in the Marymount section with my wife Neve and our 2 sons Tyler and Aiden. This is my hometown, this is where I grew up, and I was educated through the Quincy Public Schools. I graduated Quincy High School in 1993. I furthered my education at the University of Massachusetts, Boston. I run a small business here with my father, Russ Dibona and Son Landscaping, for 19 years based out of Quincy. I'm a current school committee member here in the city of Quincy, and I chair the Health, Transportation, Safety, as well as being on the Sterling Building Committee as a board member. I'm a community activist. I coached little kids football for the last 5 years. I also helped the veterans as a Sons of the American Legion Morrisette Post 294 for the last 4 years as a junior vice commander. I was a Ward 2 Civic Association president at Quincy Point when I was living there. I also was a Park and Recreation Board before I became a school committee member. For the last 5 years, I've given my entire life to the city of Quincy. I want to raise a family here and continue to stay here in this city. I want my dad to stay in this city as well. We talked about taxes, we talked about downtown development, we talked about opioid epidemic, we talked about sidewalks, roads, and trees. It's a balance of the whole system. How do we put this together? Me, as a school committee member, making a transition as a councillor at large, is going to make a difference in the community. It's going to make a difference for this city. It's going to be your voice. I did it on school committee. I'll do it on the council. I ask you for one of your 3 votes on November 3rd. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Dibona. And at-large council candidates, Nina Liang.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nina Liang, and I want to start by thanking the Adams National Historic Neighborhood Association, the Neighborhood Club, and of course, Joe Catalano for hosting this event. As always, I want to thank my fellow candidates for joining me here tonight, and I want to thank all of you in the community for coming out and always showing your support. I'm excited to be your next city councilor at large. I'm running because I want to make a difference in the neighborhoods that raised me. I want to give back to the communities that taught me the value of hard work. I want to help other working families of Quincy, and together, make our city an even greater place to live, work, and raise a family. Quincy is my home. I was born in Germantown, raised in North Quincy, went to Sacred Heart School, and I work here today with my cousin Jimmy Liang. Together, we run a successful small restaurant group, the JP Fuji Group, putting local people to work, generating more taxes for the city, and provide our neighbors with a good meal. Quincy's meant a lot for me and for my family. It's the start we've gotten here that's allowed our amazing opportunities, and it's made me the confident, successful woman I am today. I want all of you in this city to have these same opportunities. As I've gone door to door, meeting with residents across our city, I'm finding that all of you are eager to get involved and want to be a part of moving our city forward. And in these conversations, one of the most common questions I'm being asked is what is actually going on with the downtown development. As your next city councilor at large, I want all of you to know that there's someone who will listen to your concerns, someone who will speak up for you, and someone who will stand up for you. Again, my name is Nina Liang. Thank you all again for coming out and showing your support. On November 3rd, I respectfully ask for one of your 3 votes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Liang. Same question now for all the candidates, and we'll begin with Councillor Finn. As Councillor at large, what will be your #1 priority to improve the quality of life for the citizens of Quincy? 2 minutes, please.
Oh, thank you. I think that what I'm hearing going door to door, and also from simple surveys that we take, that one of the great concerns that people have is the growth of the city. And in terms of the ability to plan for that growth, I think is probably the most significant issue facing the city of Quincy. Whether we do anything or don't do anything, growth is going to occur. And so I think the most critical question is are we going to be active participants in controlling and dealing with those particular issues in a smart, sustainable way that works to benefit all of our neighborhoods? Or are we going to let it go haphazard, chaotic fashion by not paying attention to it? I think we have to look very closely at the infrastructure, particularly around the traffic that's being created by such development. It's time to audit our entire 200 miles of roadway and transportation intersections, key intersections, to talk about how that infrastructure can meet the development and growth that will continue to take place. Can we do it in a planned, sustainable way? I've been saying that for a long time, and I think that continues to be one of the greatest challenges before us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McFarland, same question. As Councillor at large, what will be your #1 priority to improve the quality of life for the citizens of Quincy? 2 minutes, please.
Over the last 10 years, we have watched the population of the city of Quincy grow. The reason the population of the city of Quincy has grown is because A, we're close to the city of Boston, and B, we are a very desirable place to live, to work, and to raise your family. As the current finance chair of the Quincy City Council, it's incumbent upon me to realize with other councils that we must deliver, again, value for the tax dollars. We must have quality schools that are well-maintained with well-trained teaching staff. We must have a well-trained and well-equipped police and fire department. We must have streets and roads that are in good repair. And we have to do this all with staying within the limits of Proposition 2.5. It's basically a funding game, a funding balancing game. We also have to continue to take the funds that we receive from the federal and state government and leverage those against the city funds that we have to get the maximum amount out of a project. For instance, like the intersection in North Quincy High School. The city of Quincy paid the engineering cost for that. We picked up a grant from the state to pay for the roadway. We have done that continually along the way, and working with the administration and working with the state delegation and the federal delegation, we're going to need to continue along that road so we can provide the taxpayers with value for their dollar and grow our city, because so many people want to live here. Why? Because it's a great place to live, to work, and to raise your family.
Thank you, Councillor. At-large council candidates Noel Dibona, what will be your #1 priority to improve the quality of life for the citizens of Quincy? In 2 minutes, please.
Thank you. I just want to touch on the downtown development. Everything hinges on this downtown development. For 30 years, we've had nothing going on down there. And finally, we have a vision to move forward here. everything really hinges on the downtown, because that's going to be extra money for funding for the education for the parents and the children in the schools. That's going to be the sidewalks and the roads and the tree maintenance that we have to do with the capital improvement plan. This downtown development hinges on our entire city. For the next 2 years, being a councilor at large, if elected, we need to go right into this and take care of this city. We're either going to plummet or we're going to strive. And when I say strive, it's going to take care of the people that are on fixed incomes. We're talking about taxes. How are we going to accommodate for that? This revitalization is going to happen whether we're elected or not. West of Chestnut's being built, East is coming up very soon. We also have to think about other areas of the city like the Wollaston Center. These hinge on our city. Everything is weighed on this. It's like the law of physics. One without the other is nothing. And this is the most important area. Being a small business owner, being a community activist, raising a family here from my hometown, I'll be your next councilor at large. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dibona. And at-large council candidate Nina Liang, what will be your #1 priority to improve the quality of life for the citizens of Quincy in 2 minutes?
So the biggest issues I feel need to be addressed across our city are those of transparency and engagement. All of the issues that we're seeing across our city are different because we have such a large city and little pockets of neighborhoods. But again, as I go door to door, meeting with residents, everyone has some great idea on how we can resolve these problems and how we can move our city forward. Just for example, I spoke to a gentleman that had talked about a green space across the street from his house that's being underused, and he had an idea about making it into a public garden. And he even offered to volunteer his time to maintain that public garden for whoever across the whole city wants to come and use it. I spoke to someone in a senior center who was concerned about the traffic, more specifically the speeding across her building, and she came up with an idea of using the resources. Our best resources in the city are people. The folks that live in that building, and although it's called a senior center, we all know that they still have a lot of life in them and a lot of will to work. And she said, you know, why don't you give these folks a chance to work? They want to go out there and they want to monitor the traffic situation for the city. Let them do that work. She was willing to do it. We can collaborate with folks like that that have really great ideas on how we can address these issues because they're the ones that see it every single day. They know best how to come up with a solution. And as a city councilor, I want to hear from everyone in this city, in those pockets of neighborhoods, and work with them on their ideas and actually executing it, because I think those will be the best solutions moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate your time this evening.